Hello and welcome to the Monday, November 4th, 2024 edition of the SANS and Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and today I'm recording from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Got a couple of small diaries to start out with. First, Guy did take a closer look at one of the usernames that I discussed in a recent diary of, well, not so common but top 10 Sage usernames. This one is chenzilong. It is also the name of a Chinese poet, so could be related to that. He only saw this particular username being used in the last couple weeks, and with passwords that are either derived from the username or used by IP cameras. So it could be possibly sort of one of those common backdoor passwords, but haven't really seen it documented anywhere. Another quick diary from this weekend. Didier is introducing a quick tool QPDF. This tool allows you to extract streams from a PDF, similar to what Didier's own PDF parser.py tool is doing. QPDF is a Windows executable and directly has the ability to export the data as JSON formatted files. And then we have some interesting details from Okta regarding a vulnerability that discovered October 30th. This particular vulnerability leads to a potential, even though somewhat theoretical, vulnerability if you're using the Active Directory LDAP delegated authentication or DelAuth systems. The vulnerability is interesting because it is an example of how an odd behavior of a hashing algorithm can really lead to an actual vulnerability. Okta uses bcrypt to hash the strings that are being used for authentication. That is, of course, not a bad hashing algorithm by any means, but the problem is that bcrypt only hashes the first 72 bytes of the input. So as long as the first 72 bytes are the same, well, then you end up with the same hash. This doesn't sound like a huge issue if you're just hashing passwords, but what Okta actually is doing, the string it's hashing is concatenated from the username, and then the password. So if the username exceeds 52 bytes, well, the password doesn't really matter anymore. Now, 52-byte usernames may be a little bit excessive and maybe not that terribly common, so this vulnerability may not be such a big deal, but good reminder to always double check what your hashing algorithms are doing in order to avoid issues like this. And after talking about QNAP patches in the last podcast, we now got two patches from similar products from Synology. First of all, Synology Photos, and secondly, Synology's bphotos applications have shown to be vulnerable at the Pwn2Own competition recently. Synology did release patches. They're considering the vulnerabilities critical because they do allow remote attackers to execute arbitrary code. Photos, at least, is installed by default. Not 100% sure about bphotos, but it may be installed in the bstation series of Synology devices. As usual, my advice is always go through the applications pre-installed on these kind of network storage devices, remove any applications that you don't need, and then make also sure that the devices are not remotely accessible. And Lastpass is warning about an interesting issue. The Lastpass extension, that is a legitimate extension being offered in the Google Chrome Web Store, well, is apparently attracting fake reviews. Now, fake reviews, of course, by themselves may not necessarily be that bad, but these fake reviews are tricking users into connecting to a malicious fake customer support line. What makes this entire scheme a little bit more obvious is that the reviews are fairly repetitive. They always use pretty much the same text and then include the phone number that the customers are being asked to call for customer support. It's not a toll-free number, so maybe that will tell some customers that it's probably not legit. But talking about bad reviews, I actually just noticed that for this podcast, there is a bad review in the Spreaker podcast website that does advertise some hacking tool, hacking service that, of course, I totally do not endorse. Still trying to get that review removed. Well, and this is it for today. So thanks again for listening. Thanks to everybody leaving real reviews and, of course, good reviews for this podcast. And talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.